Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Are you looking forward to the semi-final? Everyone getting together tomorrow once again. It's been quite a journey so far. What's the atmosphere been like in the camp over the last couple of days when they've got back to business again?
It's been amazing, actually. We walked into training this morning, Sam, and music was blaring out of the speaker by us. Leah Williamson, as we know, is the DJ of the team as well as the captain, and she was picking all the old school bangers, as it's been described to me by all the girls whenever we've asked them what musical tunes have been going. No ABBA this morning, you'll be pleased to hear. But all 23 players are out today, which is great. Hannah Hampton has returned to the squad after her bout of COVID. So a full complement ahead of this semi-final.
And what is the situation as far as Sweden are concerned? This is a team that are ranked number 2 in the world. They've taken a little while to warm up into the tournament. They've made a number of changes. They had a COVID situation which caused them a real issue last week, but they seem to be all clear of that now. They're going to pose some threat.
Yeah, they really are. They lost both their fullbacks who've been pivotal for their performance this season and in this tournament. And yeah, they'll be back and they were definitely missed. I think it's going to be a very different Sweden to the one that we saw against Belgium and earlier on in the competition as well. You know, they've really struggled for goals, which is something that we're used to seeing them do. But I think there'll be a different test for England than Spain were, for example. Spain were a possession-based team, but the girls here at the Lensbury are practising really well. When I spoke to Ella Toon yesterday, she knows that she's a substitute potentially for the game, a super sub as she's being called, and she was saying that what they do in these training sessions is that the substitutes then get the first 11 prepared for the match, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing today, and of course utilising all the skills that they have to show what Sweden are going to pose as a test on Tuesday night.
Faye, I take it you've got your seat okay for the game, because there have been suggestions that maybe that the press box is oversubscribed. It does bring into question, should this semi-final be being played at a ground with a bigger capacity than 32,050, bearing in mind the amount of interest now that the Lionesses generate?
But the thing is, I mean, yes, that makes up 100% sense, but the tender was put out for all these grounds back in 2018, and actually the FA really had to approach some places to ask them to bid to host the tournament, because women's football was in a very different place back in 2018. This tournament already is a year behind schedule. It was supposed to take place in 2021, and it's gone off the charts in terms of popularity of the women's game. So the stadiums weren't ever going to fully match what the interest shows right now, but it's exciting in terms of the future. And actually the atmosphere inside the Amex and St Mary's with around 30,000 was absolutely incredible, and I expect the same again at Bramall Lane tomorrow.
Faye, how are the players now starting to deal with the added pressure that all this extra scrutiny is going to give them? Because as you said, you know, going into the tournament, okay, a lot of people would have known about the women's game and the England team, but now over the last few weeks it's really grown, and a lot of people maybe weren't interested or neutrals are suddenly now watching. They're taking an interest. You know, the women are getting far more press coverage than ever before, and the pressure's now on. Although Sweden, as we said, are sort of second in the world in terms of ranking, England are probably favourites going into the game. Are they going to be able to cope with this pressure now?
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to Ella Toon about that yesterday, actually, because we were talking about the fact that we're going to be 5,000 people in Trafalgar Square watching the game. They know, even though they're in their tight bubble and they're trying to keep all the outside noise out of the way, they absolutely know how important it is to the nation at the moment, and how much people are looking forward to seeing them hopefully at a final in Wembley. So they get that, but I don't think that they're overawed by it at the same time. I think they thrive on it because, again, this is something that these girls have wanted for such a long time. They're in a very privileged position. This is the fourth semi-final of a major tournament that they've managed to reach, which is incredible, and there are 9 players within this squad who've never been part of a major tournament before. So I think they're excited by it rather than feeling the pressure. I think that opening game at Old Trafford against Austria, definitely they felt the nerves, but as they've built into the tournament, that they're definitely not feeling that now.
You mentioned there that they've got to 4 semi-finals in a row, but they've lost all 4 of those semi-finals. It's about time that they broke that hoodoo. Have they been speaking about going one step further than before?
Yeah, they all have. Lucy Bronze in particular the other day was talking about how it was one of the toughest moments for her in football and trying to get over that defeat to the USA in 2019 in France. And you saw that in the bronze medal performance against Sweden. They really struggled against them because mentally they just hadn't got over that defeat, and Lucy Bronze was talking about how long it took her to get over that. But this is a very, very different side under Sarina Wiegman. She's brought a calmness to them and a belief as well, and when you speak to all of them, as I say, I've spoken to most of the squad over the course of the last few weeks, and they're all just relishing the opportunity that they've been given, and they really are desperate to go not just to the final but win it as well on home soil.
Do you know what? I'm watching as we stream this training session live on YouTube and Facebook, and if you do want to follow it, then you can do by going to the talkSPORT channels on those particular platforms, and I can see the golden child is in full action. So I was a little bit concerned after the match that Kira Walsh wasn't going to be available because she pulled up with an injury, but she seems okay looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, she's definitely okay. We were worried, but I think it was just cramp. And actually, when I spoke to Sarina Wiegman straight after the match, she said she thought it was just cramp as well. And yeah, I mean, she is the golden child, isn't she, Kira Walsh? She's been pivotal to everything good that England have done in this tournament so far. So without her, definitely things would have been much more difficult. But she's looking really well, moving freely, very happy as well. They're just getting ready for some extra drills. We get 15 minutes of open training here before we're kicked out, Sam, as you know. Beth Mead holding on to one of the props there, but always smiling, these players, when they're training. As I say, there was music blaring when we first walked out, and they're just relaxed and confident and looking forward to it. And Kira Walsh, as you say, is going to play a massive part in that semi-final at Bramall Lane on Tuesday.
What about Greenwood? Will she play a massive part? Because obviously one of the themes of the tournament so far has been that Sarina Wiegman doesn't like to make changes to her lineup. Will that change for this semi-final?
If there's one change to be had, I think that may be it, because Rachel Daly, as we saw against Spain at the Amex last week, really struggled as left back. And I think they changed the formation and went to three at the back when Alex Greenwood came on and pushed Millie Bright, who's a centre-back, up front, and it worked within 2 minutes of that change. They'd equalised through Ella Toone. So that is a potential substitute to make going forward, but equally I think it may be a starting change that we see. That's the only one that I can think of, because as we know, Sarina Wiegman likes to name a really settled side, and she's named an unchanged side in the 4 matches of the tournament so far. But if she was going to make one change, I would expect it might be Rachel Daly for Alex Greenwood.
Faye, thank you very much. That's Faye Carruthers, who's at the England training base, bringing us live training. And if you do get the opportunity to go back and watch that on YouTube and Facebook, you'll be able to see the players training at quite high intensity, getting ready for their match against Sweden tomorrow night. And despite being ranked second in the world, behind only the United States of America, who won the World Cup in 2019, the Swedish media and Sweden themselves believe that England are the favourites for the game, especially with their home advantage. The Swedish writer Andreas Lindblad said Sweden are not the favourites against England, and that suits them perfectly. These mind games won't work on Sarina Wiegman. We saw what happened when Kenny Shields tried that, and so did on Tuesday night. The manager of their latest opponents, the Spanish, tried to play it down and make out that they were the underdogs, even though they were favourites coming into the tournament. She just doesn't even raise a flicker, does she? No,
she's a tough cookie, and in some ways I think England will learn a lot of lessons from that game against Spain when they were under the cosh for a long time. I think it will be a game of patience against Sweden, because we know they're a team who don't concede too many goals. It might go the distance again in terms of extra time, and England will be prepared for that, having been through that once already in this tournament.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.